welcome to a financial planning segment of your series of your workshops. My name is Alita Osland, and I have been teaching various finance classes at Cal State Long Beach since 1996. So it's been quite a while. I'm wondering if some of you have even been born yet, but yeah, I've been doing it for a really long time, and I never intended to be a teacher of any kind. I graduated with a master's degree from Cal State Long Beach and thought I was going to get into the personal financial planning field, and I was approached by my department chair and offered me a position to teach personal finance. And I was 24 years old, and I thought, this is an amazing opportunity. I probably shouldn't pass this up. So I managed to do my day job as a financial planner and teach classes at night, and I absolutely loved it. And I ended up going to UCI and applying for a job teaching an insurance class and was hired. Then I went to Marymount College in Palos Verdes and was teaching an accounting class. And then I was teaching financial planning seminars at 7 junior colleges around the area. So I had about 12 paychecks when I was young, super motivated to buy a house, which I did 1 year out of college. So when people say, how do we get started? It's all about managing yourself and managing your money. And I'm excited for you to be here to take part in this workshop. And you're going to meet so many amazing speakers that have different types of experience that are going to benefit you in all different areas to help you live a well-rounded, functional, efficient, and hopefully stress-free lifestyle. And I know most of you are hoping to have a career in football. And you never know what your career is where it's going to take you, what bumps you might have, what successes and what failures, but you always need to plan. And my husband and I own several businesses together, but I still teach. I'm still teaching these financial planning classes. And this PowerPoint I'm about to show you is a compilation of about 3 different classes, from an intro to finance to an advanced financial analysis class, all the way to a financial planning for the aging, which is a gerontology class. And what I can tell you about financial planning is that you need to financial plan every day. Every day you make decisions and choices on how to spend your money. And the thing is most Americans have a good job. They make money. But why is everybody broke? It comes down to not being responsible and not being in tune and doing some very basic steps. So with that said, I'm gonna get started on my slideshow, which is called Financial Planning for Life. Because again, you have to make a commitment to yourself to manage your money and make good choices from this point onward, which is tough, I know. So my first slide says, do you have a written retirement income plan in place? Do you have financial goals? You gotta sit down and really think to yourself, I'm making money or I'm about to make good money. What do I want that to mean for myself? How am I gonna be disciplined to save for tomorrow? Because again, I don't know what tomorrow might hold. So the first thing everybody needs to do, if everybody in America just sat down and wrote a budget, everybody would be one step ahead because they would be in tune with where does my money go? Why am I living paycheck to paycheck? Simply sitting down and writing out a budget and a financial plan and getting in touch with what your goals are is very important as a first step. Most Americans, depending on their education level, their job level, don't necessarily need to live paycheck to paycheck. But people like things. People like to buy things, and people like to kind of show off or have the latest iPhone, have the latest fanciest car. For women, a lot of times they buy a lot of consumer goods that are very expensive purses or jewelry. Is that a need or is that a want? And that's something that people really, I think, need to get in tune with. So something that's going on right now, and I don't know how much TV or how much news you watch, but the rate of inflation is, a little bit like this. Interest rates are, kind of all over the place. We're in a time right now of influx. We're not really sure where interest rates are going to be tomorrow, where they're going to be in 2 years or 5 years. If I had a crystal ball, my life would be a lot easier. But what we can do in times of inflation is we can look back, we can look at historical, and we can see trends in the economy. And your job is to play football, that's your career. Your job is not to figure out the economy. But what you can do is you can align yourself up with people that are trustworthy, that will help you navigate your money, navigate your career, navigate yourself. And the hope is that you make wise choices with the people around you too, because association is really, really important for success. But basically what this slide demonstrates is that inflation, whether it is at 2%, 3%, 4%, I mean, gosh, there's been historical, big highs. What it boils down to is the cost of everything from a cup of coffee to a scoop of ice cream, to a gallon of gas, to a car, to a home, to the cost of, let's say, lumber to build homes. It's going up. So inflation is a general rise in the cost of living. So a car that might cost $50,000 today is going to cost almost double that in 20 years. So what you need to do is you need to figure out, how can my money keep up and overshoot inflation so that I am staying ahead of inflation? And for people who don't trust banks and don't put their money in the bank, they're actually losing money. The whole, put your money under the mattress thought is really silly. You could have your house broken into and you can get, all your money taken. But B, you've got to invest and save your money at a rate higher than inflation. So what inflation does is it decreases that value of that dollar. So that dollar stuffed under a mattress or put in a coffee can is going to lose its purchasing power. So when somebody has, let's say, $1 million saved for retirement, that's only going to be the equivalent of about half of that in 20 years. And here's the thing, you guys. If we were all together in a room right now, I would say, how many of you love to go on a cruise? How many of you would love to go to Hawaii? How many of you would love to go to Europe? That's a great vacation. Well, your retirement is going to be a 40 or 50-year vacation. How are you going to pay for that every day? And a lot of people don't save for retirement. They live paycheck to paycheck, and then, it's like, well, what are you going to do when you retire, when you can't work any longer? Where is that money going to come from? You are not going to be able to afford to put food in your mouth, let alone go on any vacations. So what I'm here to do is to put the seed in your brain early, to let you know that there's ways to safeguard your money and ways to have it grow and work for you, so that when you turn 55, 60, 65, you're not in poverty in retirement, so that you have financial freedom like I have, which I'm going to have because I've worked very hard and I've made the right choices, and I've put my money in all different types of investments, which I'll share with you today. And that's the hope for most Americans. It's, when I teach college students, I try to preach to them about their financial goals. And it's like, make sure you have retirement as a long-term financial goal and make a commitment to it. You don't want to live with your children. You don't want to be homeless, and you can't live on Social Security. And we will talk about that. So people always ask me, what is the biggest financial secret? And you can read all kinds of books from all kinds of financial gurus. But in my opinion, I think the biggest secret is living within your means. And I have friends that make $500,000, $1 million a year. And I have friends that make $80,000 a year. And I have seen firsthand people that make $80,000 a year have a higher net worth than somebody that makes $1 million a year. And the reason is because somebody who makes $500,000 a year might spend $600,000. And the person that's making $80,000 a year is spending 70 or even 60. They're living within their means. They're being financially responsible. And I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, pay yourself first. That's a very big financial rule. Pay yourself first means when you get your paychecks, put money away for retirement. Put money in a savings account for your financial goals. And what you have left over, which is anywhere from 10 to 20%, you take that amount and you pay your bills. And one of the things to you guys is just don't get into debt. Don't finance things. Financing things is terrible, and we're gonna kind of get there next. But what is net worth? And when I was a student at Cal State Long Beach, my finance teacher gave an analogy, and I still use it to this day with my students, so I'm gonna use it on you. He said, I was in this bar, this cowboy bar, and this cowboy came in and he had this huge hat, and it was really fancy, and he looked like he was the wealthiest cowboy in town. And then there was this other cowboy that came shuffling in with the smallest little cowboy hat, and he was just filthy, just full of dirt, just a mess. And turns out the guy that was a mess with the small little cowboy hat owned the most cattle in town. And the guy with the big fancy hat, the big shooter guy, he didn't own any cattle. He was all talk. So when you're driving down the freeway and you look over at someone driving a Bentley or a Rolls Royce and you think to yourself, wow, I wonder what they do for a living. You know, sometimes they're one payment away from having that car repossessed. And there's a lot of books like The Millionaire Next Door. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book, but it's about people living frugally and living within their means and saving and doing everything right, and they're actually millionaires. And that's how I've chosen to live my life, is to be really financially set, to make financial choices and to have freedom, and to put what my priorities are first, which is, for me, usually experiences. I will spend a lot of money on a nice family vacation to spend time with my kids, and I don't drive the fanciest car. But I can tell you what, my car's paid off. I pay cash for everything. I don't finance things. So you can't always go by, oh, that person looks wealthy, because half the time they're in a ton of debt. It's up to their eyeballs. They can't sleep at night. They're probably having massive anxiety over because creditors are calling them. So again, net worth is, what are your assets? What are you worth? What are your liabilities? And if you're upside down, you're in trouble. You need to really take a check. And don't let yourself get upside down. You're all going to be in a position where, again, you don't have to be in debt. So don't go down that path. Your credit becomes a part of you. Think of like this little mini person next to me that's like attached to me, hanging on to me. I can't get rid of it, right? It's my credit score. My credit score is going to be my ability to get to money. Okay, my credit score, if I have really good credit, banks are gonna wanna give me money. Right? I can open up a business. I can get a small business loan. I could go buy a house. I could go buy an apartment building because I have good credit. The minute you have bad credit, nobody wants to give you money to help you grow. They also want to charge you much higher interest. So the people with the good credit get the low interest rates, and the people with the bad credit get high interest rates. So the people that play everything wrong, they overspend, they don't live within their means, they get into debt, they don't pay their bills on time. They're just circling down this really bad road, and it's really hard to dig yourself out of it. So here's kind of, what goes into that FICO score. And you'll notice the biggest section is your payment history. Make sure you pay your bills on time. Be responsible people. Don't have a lot of credit. There's no reason to have more than 2 credit cards. I've researched this. I've done talks. I was interviewed on a TV show on why would people need more than 2 credit cards. And the reason, really, you could use 1. But most people have a personal and a business card. Or they have 2 personal in case one gets compromised and they need one in a hurry for traveling or whatnot. But really align yourself with 1 major credit card. Do not have a Victoria's Secret and a Macy's and a Nordstrom's and a gas station and a Target and a Best Buy. Junk. Okay, junk. You only need a major credit card. And for the most part, what do you care about the interest rate if you're paying it off every month? Just get a good, reliable credit card. Okay, the next financial trick I want to show you is called the Rule of 72. And the Rule of 72 has been around forever. Even when I was in college, I had to figure it out. But what it is it's a very fast and easy way for you to figure out how long it would take for your money to double. So I'm sure you've all heard stories, like maybe from a parent or a grandparent, I bought this house, back in the day for $30,000 and it's worth $1 million now. Wow, I mean, that's amazing, right? That is the magic of compound interest. Compound interest is when your money grows with interest, and that interest now grows with more interest, with more interest, with more interest. It's like a snowball effect. And the Rule of 72 is a very quick way to figure out how long it would take your money to double in your head. So let's say that, and I do this one with my college students, and it's really super easy to follow. Let's say that you're a young person, you're in college, and you're coming into a little bit of money, okay? Let's say that some of you are signing some of these bonuses and things, whatnot now. So you're coming into a little bit of money, and you decide, instead of, putting it all down on a car, which is what a lot of people do, they just go buy a car. How much is that fancy car gonna be worth, next year, or 30 years, or 40 years? It's gonna be worth like 60% of its value the day after you drive it off the lot. I think most people know that. But what if you put that money into some sort of a mutual fund? That could average about 10% a year. So what the rule of 72 says is that if you put an interest rate into the number 72, it tells you how many years for your money to double, okay? So let's say instead of, spending all that money, you took $50,000 and you are, I don't know how old some of you are, but let's just say 23 years old. In 7 years, this money is gonna double, right? So how old are you now? You're 30. You're probably tempted to take that money out. Wow, I have $100,000 now. Well, what happens if you don't take it out? Now you've got $200,000. Okay, 7 more years goes by, you have $400,000. 7 more years goes by, you're 50 years old. Oh my gosh, there's $800,000 sitting here. This would be a really nice boat, or a vacation home, or, maybe I've got kids now and I want to pay for their college. But if you could be disciplined and just put money away and then look the other way, I promise you, you will have that vacation when you're in retirement. You'll have vacations all the time. When you're 58, it's now worth 1.6, and finally when you're 65, it's worth 3.2. Don't you think most people would love to have $3.2 million in retirement? And it was as easy as taking an opportunity as a young person and investing it. If you do this with 30,000, you get 2 million, which is still a very impressive amount. The point is time, okay? Investing money is not an overnight thing. Investing money is a long-term type of plan. And I told you compounding interest is like a snowball effect, right? If you have like a big mountain, the snowball, as it comes down, is getting really big. So time plus interest are the keys to long-term wealth. So again, compound interest is when that interest is growing with interest over time. Now, the inverse on this is credit cards. It's banks, it's personal loans. They are making this on you, and they compound the interest on credit cards daily. And most Americans don't understand interest, and they don't understand how credit cards work, and they get really buried and they can't get out from under it. So I'm going to share with you a free app, and I hope all of you will take a minute and download this Easy Calculator app. I'm going to actually show you what it will do. When you open the app on your phone, it's going to look like this in the corner, the little light blue. And what I do when I use this calculator is I go to time value of money. And what it shows you is that if you were to put in a payment is like, I'm gonna save this much money every month. Okay, so at some point, hopefully you're all in a situation to where you're saving for a home, or you're saving for retirement, or you get some sort of a longer term career with a 401k plan. So how much does money grow? If I were to save 500, and I have this calculator set to month, you can change the mode of compounding. If I save $500, and I can average 10% on my investments, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm doing it monthly. So I'm gonna do that. You guys are really young, so let's come up with an amount here. If you did that for 40 years, That's 480 months. Okay, so 480 months. Oh boy, okay. I'm using a calculator that's not on the app. So let me just tell you real quick on my app, because the app I think is a lot easier than the actual website. So if you were to put in $500 at 10% for 40 years, you would get 3.1 million 60,000. So almost 3.2 million. Same type of thing as here. This was a lump sum of $50,000. The alternative is put in $500 a month for 40 years and you'll also have 3.2 million. In this calculator app, there's also a loan calculator. And when I am in class with my students, most of them don't know anything about interest and what happens to them when they go down to, let's say, the Apple store and they charge a new computer. Let's say a young couple gets married and they buy a home and they walk into a Home Depot and they decide to charge some new appliances. And these stores are very accommodating with, hey, let's give you 10% off if you open up a credit card today. So I looked up what the interest rate is at Home Depot and Lowe's. It's an average of 29.8%. So I'm gonna jump onto my loan calculator and I'm gonna say, hey, if you were to purchase $20,000 of appliances, right? You have an appliance package, you buy all the stainless steel appliances, your washer, your dryer, the whole bit, and it's 29% interest, and you decide, hey, I'm gonna pay this off for 5 years. The monthly payment is $634. The total interest that you pay over the 5 years is $18,090. So you just double paid for your appliances. And this is the mentality that a lot of Americans have. They want everything now. They don't understand what delayed gratification is. Instead